Mm.
Okay. Tama. Jadi, jadi, kita masuk yang namanya Cipu. Ni sama rival yang singkatnya sama Cipu ya. Rival.
Okay, so Tashdale, everyone, welcome, and I hope that everyone gets a happy mind.
Ya, cuma kan namanya apa terus namanya
Today the weather is very good, right? Very happy.
Ya. Tadi masuk ane tuh deh. Orang itu pada gomzet college race. Ya tam nampak gitu. Wah, gomzet college race. Gomzet college. Lalu ini gomki. Ini tak kalau kita gomjak boy muindo kar.
Okay, so today I thought about talking about meditation, and mainly what is a meditation, especially in the perspective of this tradition. Maybe some of you have heard, what is meditation in other traditions. You have learned about meditation. Yeah, but so we'll talk a bit about this, and also why do we meditate? So, what is the purpose? What is the goal, the need for meditation?
Yeah, itu teach lah ini masuk. Tamasuk gom jaya Martin the Chish, anything
So we talk briefly about this, and then if we get the feeling, I should meditate, and I want to meditate, and then we look at this bodhicitta, because we want to meditate, and we look to something beautiful like bodhicitta.
Yeah, Taina ta counter chick maso Java Canadish so we are telling you. Colon the kitchen which Chagrava, if Colon they must counter to Colon has some war. It will Colon cheer.
But first, since we discussed that motivation is very important before any action, so first we try to develop a good motivation.
Yeah, that indeed Kablia, that's it. Colon Zambota, Yaposia, don't know the chicken color. Tawa to be Kablia, telling us on choky some. Mambochile pentoya indeed each other colonage. So many katana, a coloniage.
So how does a motivation becomes positive? The attitude that we have before an action. So doing this action, by doing this action and doing the action, we have the motivation that this action might become meaningful, going to the positive side, and meaningful for other people. Also to be able to leave a positive impact on more on the lives of more people.
That indeed Sablo time Kablia, Maso chick, so Sena, chick, Kakachetan, and the living on your curriculum. The Ani Katare, so Samlo town shore. Mambo Jamachi, Chunju Chonsania, Nichik Yaretania, Tindigo, Tabdevo Gania, Colon and Jenny, and then Mambo Yoris. And attaching me, Kachan the shades of me Mombojo noodles. The engaging Kachan the Shana me Mombojo pintos. Indeed, Namja Susumuni. Tindichetona, Colonga, Kachishi Kandana, Shendo, Parishana, in this Sheni much get out your voice in my in this Shana, you or Kachan did me share some Mombojo potato for your Marine Mamaki channel. Me Kachan the new Shin, me Mombojo pintos. New conversion was a Kachi Shepa and Colon Jelly. What indeed, Chonsak. Mare Chonsak, like a chinju. When it's not to the bed, and she would indeed just she was all down. Then I think the chinju chinchonga.
So in our daily lives, we have many opportunities to practice and taking and to develop our motivation. for example, in small activities during the day, talking to people or whatever it is that we do in the 24 hours. So checking, always checking our motivation. Am I doing this to improve my reputation, or am I doing this, seeking something for myself, or seeking praise, or anything like this? And then checking if when is your motivation going towards, actually doing something good for someone else, actually in a positive, altruistic direction. So not only, not only using big practices, but also we can use through our, because of our motivation, through this practice of developing a good motivation, we can use every action, every word, etc., as a ground for practice.
Yeah. Apena chinga so li nam je tan tan na chinga so chi kulo ju kon na de chi chena mi mo je pen to am to ne ki pen mo tindi ju chang sa kon ba je.
For example, with the expression of our body, our body expressions, even our way that we wear our clothes, etc., always considering how this might affect other people, if it's going to be harmful in any way to them, if it's going to be positive in any way for them. So using all of these small things in our lives, small activities to increase our habit of having a good motivation.
Yeah, that is what it is. Also, carpent or so lead and luck, lingaki, chick, colonel Zambo and linga, Jolam say, Zami Cholia, the entity. Amal so service. Ama Babsate, same community. Same gay, Zami Cholia, ginger, the pen.
And the benefit of this also is that by giving some attention to the way we lead our bodies, our speech, what we say, etc., our actions in this regard, external actions, then our objective at the end of the day is to develop our mind, is to make our mind go to a positive direction naturally. And by working with our body and our speech, it's very beneficial for us to develop more and more our mind.
Yeah,
so first, let's do a prayer.
Yeah. Tanja Senjo, Rinpoche, Majeban, Kekrichi, Jeban, Kone Kongan Perish. Tanja Senjo, Rinpoche, Majeban, Jeban Yamba, Mebayan, Kone Kongan. Tanja Senjo, Rinpoche, Majeban, Kekrichi, Jeban Yamba, Kone Kongan Perish. The tea was a molamte, Tanda, Todon the text. The name must have been Jelatachi, the one of the summer. Kodia, that Kama Rantonchu, the Janjuk Sims. The Janjuk Sims, the beach, campaign some judge. In the hero, indulging my social and the mena, into my year. And it's a sort of Ghana. And it's a certain deal, some Leona, Tim Mariaman, Mantun Yat.
Yeah, so the meaning of this prayer, to say it very briefly, so this prayer that we just recited is the may the precious Buddha mind not yet born arise and grow, may that born have no decline but increase forevermore. I think Bodhi mind here, is bodhicitta. So this is a mind that most of us we learn to see it as something very precious, right? And basically bodhicitta, if we explain it in simple terms, is to have a extensive altruistic mind. Altruistic in the sense that it's seeking to benefit society, seeking to benefit people, other people. So it's this mind that we consider to be precious. And when we do this prayer, we are asking for, if we don't have this mind, we don't have this altruism inside ourselves, compassion, may it develop, may it grow. If we have developed some of it, if we have had some experience, then may it not disappear. May it continue in our minds. Keep this because it's precious and increase, keep increasing. Yeah. So this is our goal to keep this mind and.
Yeah, that indeed that teenage common Molia the Geshe no ink. That Matsu Gomse, no bit that come Gomse. Gomse. Gomse, any Gomse, Gombase, Yana deeper chip. Don't the chip.
So as we were saying before, today we're going to talk about what is meditation. In meditation, according to Buddhist philosophy, there are some terms that they are synonymous. They mean the same thing, and they are meditation, habituation, familiarization. All of these three things, they mean the same thing. Habituation, meditation, familiarization.
That indeed, indeed, touch chong, because of the Negan, don't understand, Quamde, Gomse, the judge, which he but Gomse, Gombase, and Giberche, indeed, with some petition, the Gomse, the judge, which
But also in Buddhist philosophy, the term meditation is a very vast. It encompasses many different things. Also.
Tandana Karelandi, and touching Yontale, Gomsemde, touching Sama Yontale, Gomsemde, Yawacholi, Tamno, Kunditaya, that initially quite the risk to Yonta the chat.
And usually when we talk about meditation, the popular way of talking about meditation, we think about a positive direction, right? So habituating towards a positive direction. That's the popular way of understanding meditation.
That Chikorang Tonda or Takandona, Tonda Karasandi, as to Low and the Yanni on the combat, Yanni on the Tibet Chevanamdi, Low Yawi Cholea, Komitayure, do each other.
But if you look at the meaning of the word, and here also the word for in Tibetan for meditation and habituation, habits, they're the same word, gong. If you look at the meaning of the word, then there is meditation for the positive side, but there is also meditation towards the negative side.
Yeah. Penamazola Chikanga Chona. Ani Penasozola, Nichi, Tiknimbano, Indiji Lam, Sosochi Magan, Macheva Chona, Tambo City Chilamshaka, Igani, Ayani and the Solomon, on the church. The money chena to the contribution.
For example, if you meet with a problem, let's say that someone comes to you and says some bad words about you, and you don't like it, it makes your mind uneasy, it makes you unhappy, it gives you some anger. But this anger is very small. The person just said a small word towards you. Okay, that's it. But then later, after 30 minutes, you remember again what the person said, and then you think, oh, the person said this. So you keep thinking about this, and you keep thinking this about after 1 week, after 2 weeks, after 1 month, and the anger grows. You're cultivating anger. The anger starts to grow. What was small before starts to become bigger. This is, we can say that this is meditation on anger.
The dinner though, Tan Tutana, Ane, Tan Masolia, Namji, Masenolia, Masolia, Kumdi, and Masolia, Yamno Yashate, Yawi Chola, Gomian Tobayori. In a TV Yamno the Met, do we show them what's a Gumja, the current
usually in our lives, so considering that meditation is going these two sides, usually in our lives, we want to meditate on positive qualities. We want to meditate on the positive side. That's our wish. But still, the habits that we cultivate the most, and we usually meditate a lot on the negative side.
Yeah, that don't know the Gomia, the Sosa, which is simple Shadi Yomata, Kiboyoa. Tachipe and color that similar Kaname or the living as soon to what it is.
But we have the wish to meditate in order to have a peaceful mind, in order to have a happy mind, in order not to meet with suffering problems. There is this desire.
They know also Gomia the Karagong, Sim Machabayoma, Sim Kangayo, Penatachi, 다 소소 지소지나 지소나는 지 로바이나 소소다 지 뭐다 가리 진짜 지 엄마나 문담바 영화야 배나 공정정 와jen도 또 엄마나 좀 이장장공대 이니 시대 영화가 가고 싶잖아.
But we end up many times meditating on things that will bring the opposite of these things, will bring an unpeaceful mind or unhappy mind, etc. For example, living in society with our coworkers or with our friends, with our family, etc. We want to have we want to have this peace, we want to have happiness, but we keep meditating on, for example, jealousy or anger or resentment. So we keep these things in our mind and we cultivate, we familiarize ourselves with them, and bringing this harmony towards between people, between our family, etc. Then there is no way for the peace that we want to be achieved.
Yeah. Then the do was do so do sa church. Do we na do sa langa de. Then the chok deal and do and do we na. And begin Dre Cavalier, so the short part was ready. Dobati, Kipota, pushing in Dobati, run to set the check, set check. Then when he began to so tell level, but the cherry or the joy. That's all Shambajil already. That the changing of the Devando, Tachi, the Devando jump, and a cars. Won't it that? Timu bearing a Devanda to say sure. Tani Devantone, Dimmer could kill a number of chicks, Dimmer could
Yeah, so we want to go somewhere, we want to go where the path leads us. But as soon as we start going there, then we start running towards the opposite side, and then we take one step in this direction, then we run again to the other side. And of course, we're not getting closer to where we want to go. And that's why Shantideva, he says in the Bodhisattva Charavatara that even though we all want not to have suffering, but we keep running towards suffering. And we all want to have happiness, but because of our ignorance, we destroy our happiness as if it was an enemy. So in brief, the popular understanding of meditation, meditation, basically the meaning is familiarization with the positive, habituating yourself to the positive side. And then there are many stages. Inside this tradition, there are many stages to gradually develop your mind in this direction. That's when we talk about the wisdom. We talk about the wisdom arising from hearing, the wisdom arising from contemplation, the wisdom arising from meditation. All of these three, they're included within the stages of meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
Yeah, and there is, in this three, maybe some of you have heard, the wisdom arising from hearing, the wisdom arising from contemplation, the wisdom arising from meditation. These are our stages, right, to develop the qualities. All of these three, we can say that they are meditation. But there is the term here on the third one, the wisdom arising from meditation. There is the term meditation there, but actually the three of them, they're included within meditation.
Yeah, in
Tibetan, the wisdom arising from meditation is gomjung, and the meditation is gom. So there is they use different terms.
Yeah,
Okay, so meditation, let's say familiarization with the positive, habituation with the positive. But why, what's the purpose of doing this, of engaging in this action?
답변은 아주 다치 안에 맞지 않아요. 다치 남지 영어로 정말 검자세요. 검자들 무연로 수때는 이용 그래서
I think that nowadays we can condense, we can separate two purposes, two needs for meditation that are popular in the world right now. Two ways.
지게 안에 답변은 당을 미 규모세원은 정말 다치 강의 최초다 미 정말 강의 직받아 요구 말하다. 강의지 맞지 않아요. 제 이름을 타고 그 영화들 애출 잘보다 강의 what initiates.
Yeah, so to different people, different levels of suffering come, different problems come. It's not like we all have the same level of suffering at the same time.
다 dinner 당아서 지금 세나 강아세는다. 같이 dinner세. dinner 좋으니까. 다 공부진이 때 아니 강아서 세트 치는 공자고 무이드 대인 세탄도 무이드 대인 맞춰서 강아서.
So when we meet with the suffering, when we are in a period in our lives that we meet with suffering, then one of the objectives of our meditation is to eliminate the suffering, to clear away the suffering.
다들 강아들 세위인성에 답변나 소소래야 다지 강아실래 강아시나 이니시션데 인제 강아들 네컵상에 봐 강아들 네컵로 요야 답시다 진리의 체도 검장이 인상 지그래.
And there's one way, there's one goal for meditation, which is about temporary fixing this suffering. When suffering comes, we temporarily, try to put the suffering aside, to clear away the suffering.
다니바데 다치 소소이잖아. 강연도 인디시 좀. 다 강한디 좀 사고 줘. 다치 배나 맞서 쳐서 녀모 바르 그래. 그 상마 싸워는 내가 제대로 검장.
The second one, the second need for meditation, the second purpose of meditation is having this problem, looking at this suffering. We want to find the cause of this suffering. Where does this come from? What is the source? And then try to solve the problem from the root. Really try to eliminate the suffering.
다대원데 담보 지금자 담보데 다 강하지 레오나. 일 강하데 네급 소소티를 요탐. 일 때치 capture 잠바지 기리야시. 인디 곰티 자가요나 얘네지 쇼로 정도씩 친구 지동데 친구명도 고로 양지 정신서 럼용식 친구 친구야로 인디 궁금해서 그런
The first purpose of meditation, which is when we're experiencing the suffering and we want to temporarily not have the suffering, we are trying here to change the focus of our mind. So instead of focusing on the problem, we try to focus our mind somewhere else, so that the problem is out of view, the suffering is out of view, and then we have some relief, some temporary relief. And in my opinion, for this purpose, there is no need to study so much. We still need to, there is a practice, there is some effort, etc. But there is not so much need, to study the great treatises, etc.
다 니바데래야 같이 강을 그리고 시험을 강을에 싸워내는 거다. 이 종공도 봐. 아니 뭐에서 보라. 진리 전에 공자 진리 체트 공데 이 싸워내는 거서 체트 인생은 일링이 버트. 로용 이퀄이야 질런다. 지 그냥 또 튼튼히 많이 맞죠. 그래서 연예인으로 병체 맞잖아. 이 공이 니바데자. The
second purpose that we can have, which is having this suffering, to really try to find the source of this suffering, really try to get a long-term solution to this problem, then I think we need to study, and not only study for a short time. We need to put some effort for a long time into this.
For example. 네. 베이직하는. 내가 보이지는 다 지소서 나찬로 지요 차시. 나저시요 병원데 다 주기 진주대. 대칭이 말에 양생양생을 대하시나.
For example, let's say there's a child the child has some disease, there's something not good with her body, and because of this, she keeps crying. During the day she cries a lot.
다 딘디 qableya 대상 와서 공시 약시 지가리래 남사 지 소소니 저기다 근데 진매용데 남사 고선에 같이 줄인도 돼야나 남사 카바르니는 이제는 같은데 다 지게 인디답시도.
And okay, so the child is crying a lot, and what is the best method that we have in the 21st century nowadays? The best thing, the thing that we do the most nowadays is we give this kid an iPad, or we give the phone, put the phone in her hand, or give a candy or anything, to make the kid stop crying.
얘는 다 대탑시 가르잖아요. 그런 다 되게 그 진주 되네요. 이 망을 그 담음식 줘. 담음식.
So what is this method? This method, you see the child crying, and your method is you're trying to make the child stop crying. So for the child to stop crying, you give a phone, for example.
네 qable야. 아니 이 소소 부트기 거기 뭐대 담로대 뭐 마용 어쨌든 소소 가버는 거다야나 근데 딘디가 삼로 바꿔지 딘디가 삼로 직체지 배는 가르쳐주는 그런 가르쳐는 딘디 가고요 딘디는 삼로도 직체하려 그게 나차고 삼로대 그런 메이크업을 그 갖춰주셔.
So here you're changing the focus of the child. So before the child is focused on these feelings of the sickness, on the suffering, right? But when you give, for example, an iPad and the child starts to watch her cartoon, then the focus, because the child really likes the cartoon, the child looks at that, and her focus now is at the cartoon, watching that. And so because her focus, her concentration is here now, she's not thinking anymore about her disease. She's not focusing on what was making her cry before.
저 뒤에야 내가 저나 배변도 친구여서 그런 밖에 뭐만대야 저다 안에 진짜 같이 그 매야로 되지는 같이 망보실래다 네 맞죠도 차그럼 진짜 가을에 다다시 핑거.
So temporarily there is some benefit here, the child stopped crying and maybe stopped annoying your family or the people around the child, so there is some benefit.
그 같이 저도 지금이야. 그마 같이 다투는 연애 주택 다투는 이제 이런 거는 공부 말에 대 삼셔의 질이야 직전에 대 거야 망가 대 피그레 망가 대 잡대 질이야 그마 같이 주택 같이 직전에 그 망가 저 망가야 저기 망만도야 어떻게 거는 그 샴바지는 이 풀린 스테이트로.
And also after the child leaves the iPad, maybe for some minutes, even hours, maybe the child is also not going to cry.
자이나양 뒤 고멍해야 돼. Geshe 같은 팬이어야 되나? 가지 그 나차요. 누구야 지지고. 누구가 주든 단단히 그거 당해서 팬도.
But can we say that this is fixing the problem? The child stopped crying, but the reason there's a cause for this crying. There's a cause for this suffering. This child has a sickness, has a disease. So just tricking the attention of the child, it's not going to fix the problem.
자이나 맞추고 남지 다 못해나 되는데 계속하나. 강간도 가르쳐서 남스티 대 담남대 역보시위시 영어서 검시배요.
And also we have the habit, in our lives, in society, even in the individual level, also, when we meet with a suffering, there comes some uneasy feeling or some suffering, we want to fix this as fast as possible. We try to just fix this problem.
담람 때를 빼 적보시고 담람 때 그리되나 담람 때 땅데 요 무슨 티가나 장들 간지 담람 때 거래서 장들 싫어해 담람 때를 빼 가고.
Yeah, and we like to rely on these methods to avoid the suffering, to avoid the suffering in a quick way, in a fast way. But many of us, we're not so skilled in thinking of what methods should be used. How should I approach this problem?
The penalty beja to koronavirus na 밤에 나라 그런 게다 진짜 요새는 남사 코치망을 탑시 얘기를 그거 이제는 소열 백하고 베니르다.
For example, in this example, if a child is crying, maybe has a sickness, many times the parents or the relatives, the people around, they see the crying and they try to fix the crying. So they find out methods to fix the crying, but they don't many times they don't try to diagnose, what is wrong, what is the cause, what's happening.
다이는 다 코로나에 내던에 트위터 진주대 공연 거야지. 나차지기는 나차대 컨디션 바 뭔지 인디 같이 시비 감라. 다 나차디 콜이 로경심이나 나차디 콜이 딜런심이나 yana tachi pamayena korondeyo koron membandu ni kodi kone mone te mana masu membership party indology chagra.
And why? Because if these parents they don't have studied about medicine, maybe they don't know how to diagnose a disease, they don't know what is a disease that the child has, so they have no choice but to just try to treat, just try to fix the crying. Maybe if there is some in the family, there is some doctor, maybe then he or she can help the child. Otherwise, they need to take to a hospital because they don't have the study necessary to identify, to diagnose the disease.
Padiri ngato te pero, adonda karakana, kamdi mune touch mune lesan kashishana, neban rota ngarasu cha.
So in a similar way, in this example, in a similar way, we are in reality we are the sick person here, the sick child.
Ngarasu kanga nyonde ke kanga yasa te ngaransurwa, ngaransur.
The people who are experiencing suffering problems are us.
다 ngarasu kanga te taki chuki chichuti goko ta namjin kanga te ne kapchi mewa su temba shamba chila pa yang che yang na shapu ta ro de yang yin yin kan ro chalo ban cham pyum ro de ni ji che be yang na taki kurang member ro jong ji che ne so kanga di ko le yang dar teng
And just
ni mo te ma
and how do we deal with this, with the sufferings, with the sufferings that we have? Do we do just like in the example, the child, like tricking the attention of the child, putting the attention somewhere? So do we try to change our attention like this, or maybe we can put our attention then in some dance? You can go watch a dance, or you can go do anything else. There are many different methods to do this. Or the way that we face these problems are by really trying to understand what is happening, or like relying on the doctor.
ta pena ma chole ta na che chi pena control de ma cha control de na che chi che ta na sa le shi che chong yu na de control le ma che le ya mi ka shi control pe control shi chung na am sa control na ga ji ji ma yi na control yu a kan shi le ta kan te control de na te ma cha ba.
So let's take, for example, one sickness that, for example, anger. So anger comes in different sizes, for each person. Some people they can have a stronger anger, very easy to light up their anger. Some people, even though they still have anger, but it's more subtle. It's not so, it doesn't come outside as much.
다 control 로 식 chung chi ta chi mo so control de ta mi respect control pe sam ni ma yamba la durna pe control yang pe ma indi kable ta di control de control chi ma yang wa so control chi te nyore ta chi ka
Yeah, so there are some people that if you compare to other people in society, they have a little bit more anger. They constantly are subject to anger. They constantly get angry. And what are the methods used to decrease, to calm down, to decrease this anger?
다이는 수수설 다 수수 공부 사무실 뭐 차셔. 나 내리 가버려. 나 수수 나 내리 공부 사무실 거에 근데 나세. 나 내리 공부 샴바 수빈이 제만도 왔어. 나 단초미 틱타탄 치요래. 그 아니 나 내리 공부 사무실 거에 이 사무로 tanto 다 찍지나 맞어요. 지보 네바고나 지보 득차. 야 진짜 강이야 맞어. 생각 제가 근데 여기서 지금 다들 많이 비슷해서 상호 단축 잠깐 저는 Rim, Indian Gong, Nuredo. And one nation at Tichipachico.
So okay, so I am an angry person. And why am I an angry person? Why if I compare, to other people, why are some people more calmer? Why are some people not as angry as I am? Why do I get angry? So analyzing this, it could be that my body constitution makes me more angry. It could be even that I have some disease, some physical disease that irritates me and makes me more angry. And also, it can be that my way of thinking, the way I see things, the way I think about things, the way I think about people, etc., it's not the same as these people that don't have anger. Maybe there are many ways that I approach situations, many ways I think about things that make me more angry. So if I am this angry person and I don't want to be this angry person, this is what I have to do. I have to analyze. I have to investigate. But that's hard to that's not usually how we approach our anger.
Yeah, you don't need Tindig Tamlam, Tindig on a look yonder, Tindig on a Susuli. Gibachi, Tinichetona, Rimbe, control the she chorned to the Pinto.
If you can investigate, if you can think about these causes, then it's very beneficial to decrease the strength of our anger gradually.
Demo the Yonam was a young child, Kundo, Nimol, Soba, Soba Gumgore, Soba Gumta Machina, Soba Karachikan, Michichilla, because of the same button, that Apaka, Malab, and Sutuma, read the comic. But you, Kalata Pachi, in Indo, which you made us. That's Soba Gumgore. Lana. Temple Bengi Pet Control, but Gundi, Chilangos, Aina Nepachi, Silagume, Avich, Nakachan Lagume, Anila Chipa, Dilinamja Tongame, some Kakacho, Zobagumbi of Kashari, and Zobagumbi, one control Gundi.
And usually we say that the antidote to anger is patience. But it's not so easy to meditate on patience, especially if we don't know about patience, if you don't know how to meditate on patience. Sometimes if you're angry, we have this angry feeling, and then someone comes to us and says, hey, you should be patient. You have to have patience with this. We might even, trying to meditate on patience, we might not say anything. We might not show. We might control our expressions, facial expressions, and we might nod our heads, saying yes, meditating on patience. But inside us, we're still meditating on anger. The anger is still burning inside.
What the Tinedo also machine, Pemambo, you can do that is so. Again, Molishuan, I think. Karachin control China. I think it's on the country. Anamichi is a boat to chat. Indian County, so much Indian. Indian County, Sauna Town. Look young people. They only Ranjang Tico. Mambo Shiro. He only got showing only that.
Yeah, so as we said before, if we have anger, if you're a person that is unusually angry, then there are causes and conditions for this anger to arise. And it can be, if we analyze, if we investigate our own anger, then we might start to find out, okay, so the way that I think about this situation is wrong, or the way I'm thinking about this is making me more angry, or the way I'm viewing, or etc. Or maybe there's something in my body, my body composition, or etc. We can investigate from many directions, and this is basically studying. This is studying your own anger, and if you study your own anger, then you can think from many different perspectives about your anger.
Yeah. Madinindo, Tapenane, indeed, that's also some not on Chopogoni, so with him come gone, no young chick, indeed, Jabachan. Picture, but indeed, it's also my washing went into it. Mountain was a quarter of a child. Those were the bad, our chief showed it, isn't it? Ben, I Jim Gaji did it.
And if you can investigate all of these causes, why are we getting so angry? Then we investigating our ways of thinking. How are we thinking? How are we perceiving situations? We might find out that a big cause for us to get angry is holding ourselves as something, as a very important person. I'm a very important person. This might be the case sometimes, for example. So for example, if there is something, let's say there is this phone, and this phone has a value, it has some importance. But let's say he also has a phone. The same phone. You have exactly the same phone. They have no real differences in quality, in importance, etc. But I hold this phone very tightly. I really appreciate this phone. I really think this phone is very important. Very precious. So because I'm holding the phone like this, so anything that happens to this phone, first because I'm holding it so strong, so anything that happens to this phone, for example, maybe a thief can come and bring the phone, or maybe it breaks, maybe it cracks the screen, or maybe even it gets a little bit dirty. Because I hold it as so precious, it really messes with my mind. It really steers my mind and my emotions. And if there is someone that that holds the phone, his phone like in a more relaxed way, of course, they're holding with the mind, of course, not giving too much importance on this phone. Then even if the same things happen, like there's a scratch on the screen or etc., it won't really impact his emotions.
Yeah, and then
So in a similar way, well, we all hold ourselves to be important. We are precious, we are important, and we all have this feeling that we are important. But still, there are levels, there are differences. Some people, if they hold this very tightly, they can become very sensitive. And then when someone says, something, or something that you don't like happens, then immediately you react to this. Or if someone criticizes you, then you immediately react to this. You're hurt with these words. For example, let's say someone comes now into this room and criticizes me and Geshe Phuntsok. So it's the same word, this person is saying the same word, bad word, towards the two of us. But because Geshe Phuntsok is such an angry person, because he has all this anger inside him. Not the anger, yeah, but also because the anger, yes, but also not only he has a lot of anger, but also the way that he sees himself, the way he identifies himself. There is a difference. Yeah, the way he holds himself, the view of himself. So because of this, he gets angrier at the word that was said, and maybe someone else might not get angry in the same way, even though it was the same word that came out of the mouth. But why does it affect two people in different ways?
Yeah. Any chick career is in a time. So Namji, pen and it, pen and then the page. And then over the mirror and cup is. Yeah, one.
Oh, it's a cup.
One.
No, it's okay.
The cover of it. Then cover the yard, Johnny, some tour. Into then thing is, during what she went in each dinner. Such the church thingy, this is some. And you must you made it from Gona. The dinner car cheering all like Kanati goes. Carson and I think on it. The name they carry bush dinner. They do chinching. One into the pay you got them with the market. In I am that quite during boyish in the big on the dinner. Can I the thing a pencil car it and then chinching. Me check it, chinching. Big chinching. The temper jill marmasa pen stick on the gum. Yanja, Nima chick, it's a karma, that is a Kazata Nimata, Dawa, the tick on some wonder she church.
Another analogy similar to this situation. Let's say I have to hold my phone. My phone is not it's not heavy. It's a light phone, so it's not hard for me to hold it. It's not really hard for me. But if you ask me, okay, to hold your phone for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 hours, it starts to hurt my arm. Then 5 hours, and then one day it starts to get unbearable. So in a similar way, when we are faced with criticisms or blame or things that that brings this brings suffering to our mind, makes our mind uneasy. If you're able to let it go, after it has happened, it's not heavy. It's not really heavy. These words are not really heavy by themselves. But if we cannot let it go, if at night we're still thinking about it, not only for one day, but for 1 week or 1 month, sometimes for years, we can hold a grudge in our minds, then start to burn everything in a similar way.
Oh, Tindoshi. I'm a Namji, Tamasi, someone don't that Comshi there. Tindoshi. Don't show me. Do you have the Shambashito? They are to do.
So in brief, talking about meditation, we want to meditate on the positive side. We want to habituate ourselves with the positive side, but still we familiarize ourselves with thoughts that won't bring us happiness, that will actually bring us unhappiness.
Yeah. Tene pena yang tene do na. Itu. Cik tene. Tengah so. Cik pena tu kau. Tene do. Pena nggak so namji macam mana dia. Cik tu so kan ngaji cuma na. Tahan te nanti kali cuma. Mate ngal kan mati. Kau so cuma. Ngal te kali cuma. Tu macam tu tangsim, tu maga, sim kan macam tu pari, tu no, mana kari cuma, tu cuma dah, imsen ti cuma.
Yeah. When we meet with a problem, some unfortunate thing. When we meet with some unfortunate thing, a habit that sometimes we have is to think, why is this happening to me? This is not happening to other people. This is not happening to him or her, etc. And thinking about this, this problem, this challenge, we also thinking in this way, we develop anger towards ourselves, like self-hatred and putting ourselves down.
Yeah, continue to watch. Taina chi social yang po chi chong la. Pena ta chi social nye ban do yang po chi ra yang na chi ji to ko tum de yang po de to ya da yang na chi te mo de tin social kya ka to ya do tin de chong ka la. Em ba pe chi bo ya. Ti ka la ya. Nga la tin de kan de chong re. Ko so le chong mo de wa se jo di wa ma.
But when something good happens to us, let's say we just got a very nice gift, or we won a very important tournament, or we, what's this?
Ji to ko tum de.
We passed an important exam. Anyway, it doesn't matter so much. Something good happens to us, then we don't think, why did something good happen to me? Why didn't it happen to this person, to that person, to the other person? We don't think of other people in those moments.
And then me chi to ationg de. Kyo den de cho pe ya po shu chang da. Kyo kar che so. Ha te cha ge re se. Ni kar che ni ka le gyu mo bo shu. Chik ta ni chang ma ta dik chi.
And if something good happened to you, like you passed an exam or won a tournament, etc., like if someone comes to interview you to ask you, oh, how did this good thing happen to you? Then it's in the tip of our tongues, oh, I worked so hard, I studied these hours, and then also I changed my diet, etc., and all of these things, because of this, because of all my efforts, I got this good thing. In order for good things to arrive, there are causes that makes it to be possible. And we have thought, about all of these causes. But many problems that we face, many sufferings that we face, they also come to be in the same way as the good things. Also, we accomplish the causes, we create the causes for the sufferings to come to be in a similar fashion. But we if someone asks us, how does it come to be, we cannot say with so much clarity all the causes of our suffering.
Yeah, that didn't know. Don't the cartoon. What's so many Kangaji chong, Kanga the country chong. You go moon, you some account, so those don't say that it chong in some account. Kanga de Yorin over it, Kanga de Chick. They are the top sheets, so when you.
In brief, if you can, all our challenges, negative emotions, problems, etc., sufferings, if we can think in a similar way, what are the causes of this? Where does this come from, etc., and investigate it and analyze it, we get a lot of information about our suffering, and with this information, we can find many different methods to clear away the suffering for this not to happen again.
Yeah, that any daging also is la no sin. That's so never to so cheap, come out so that there's some gum jump on chick can do it. Gum jump on chick is so Kanga the neck come no the numbers within a moment. Kanga do chick in the gum jar, wing jong goods. Those because some not teach you work come like. So we shall there. We yama tonage, in the county shire. That indeed more bush. So Necum was the penguin. Penguin more is. Yeah.
So coming back to what we were saying before, so we are a sick person. We have sufferings, we have suffering, we are suffering, okay? And then one method of meditation to help with the suffering, with our problems, with our uneasiness is, for example, the breathing meditation. Focusing on our breath and controlling our attention. And here we are, in a way, also like changing our attention, from the problem We forget about the problem for some time and we focus on one thing, on the breath. And this temporarily helps us with the problem. It's not that it's not helpful. It's very beneficial, but it's a temporary sort of benefit.
Yeah, the dinner what is on gum get a chum, but then somebody is a gum down the Tadam is being chilling on gum, Mamma. The Mamma is that also move back 10 down. No one.
And this is a type of meditation that is very popular. There are many different, types of meditation on mindfulnesses, etc. That usually they just change what object are you choosing to place your mind, to focus your mind, but they work on the same dynamic. They work by the same principle.
What dinner on it? That dinner. Tang Mansu, Tandang Mansu, Tsering was dilemma. Yeah, the Kadamas and Lam-Rim, and the same chick correlate. That same thing, is empty the Kakum what to do, Esara. That they, the Gumbi, they come up John Chiggy along the Benny, the La washing my imbas. The Gumjawi along the weird judgment.
Okay, so coming back to our text, we're studying about the Lam-Rim, and now we're on the topic of bodhicitta. And the last class, we had a small introduction to what is bodhicitta. And, now if we say, we're coming to a bodhicitta class, we are studying about bodhicitta. So this means that we have the wish to meditate on bodhicitta, which means to familiarize, to habituate ourselves with bodhicitta. And this, if we look at what is bodhicitta, we must know, we must be aware that this is an extremely high objective. This is a very big project to meditate, to familiarize your mind with bodhicitta.
And then they Niba knowledge to it. Niba the got also with you, your monk, Jong Hong, Senator. Tani never is there. Teacher to come is there.
So when we say that we want to study about bodhicitta, we want to learn about bodhicitta, we want to meditate on bodhicitta, what is it that we're saying? So, we said that there are two purposes for meditation. There is the temporary fixing of our problems, and there is the definite fixing of our sufferings, the long-term fixing of our sufferings. And when we talk about bodhicitta, when we think I want to meditate on bodhicitta, we're saying that we want to eliminate from the root, we want to investigate the ultimate cause for all our negativities, all our negative emotions, attachment, etc., anger, arrogance, ignorance, and we want to cut away from the root all of these things. We want to be completely free from suffering. Why is this? Because the mind generation of the Mahayana, which is another name for bodhicitta, the objective that it takes, the horizon that this mind has, is to become a Buddha, right? Is to become a Buddha.
That's one in said the Marachi which it and Sinja Tamjek turned all a young the tambo, so we come at some
and I will become a Buddha not for myself. I will become a Buddha for the purpose, for the benefit, for the help of every sentient being. So this means that I'm saying that I'm going to eliminate from the root the causes of all of my suffering, and then after doing this, I'm going to go and I'm going to help every sentient being to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that indeed is a couple, yeah. That was a condition. Nindi Kolia, and a Geshe, Nyamle, Chivian, Lobu, Chini, Londe, as I want to make a Mamboji young queer, Chagres, young queer. So we talk about the little Shuji to win, Anna. It's a tragic Mamboji Kogro, thinking about protection.
So if we say that we want to learn about this, that we want to meditate on this, then we must know that this is a very big project. And just like in anything that we do, if we have a very big project, a very big project, this means that we have a lot of preparation to do.
No, Ta dine karre song ta asu shungu nama lamtong do karma shayo resana.
What is
Ta kasi ta charangi ane chanshu kisim nyamle chenge shina chanshu kisim lumjong chenge shina ngole ya ta nyamle dine chen ane dine ya ti langa dine ndo sangi tsunga su lamtong de ta lamga yakshu doni ten shayo resana.
So if the advices that they give us in the treatises, in the Buddhist ancient treatises. So if you're someone that wants to meditate on bodhicitta, you want to cultivate this mind within you, you want to study about this, you want to learn about this, then there are two paths, there are two ways, two methods that they say, which are basically methods that ancient masters, they have used and they have been proven to work by other masters. So these are paths that have already been walked. So what are these two paths?
Pena danga tu chik ege rigang do wachash muyir de wachash. Na ring rigang le ando sa ngam ga yashi ni ngama rigang le sange tu. Ine do ta chi do so gang men ain do ta chi ero do chini tine langa ting do. Ta tin do shi res.
For example, in a similar way that if you want to go to Triund, there are some ways to go there, and who made this? Not who made, but who put the signs on this path. Who said, who wrote a map later. This is how you go there. People that have been to Triund and have seen that, going this way, turning here, you're gonna get to the top of Triund.
Well, then ta karasung shi na ani thamlam ni ten thamlam ni la ten 장주 심 공고 열에 나온지 아니 샴바 메타 친남지 맞죠 공미 샴바서 장주 심고 공바 제가 매일 세다 중국에 되는지 하고 저도 직 니래가 옛날 직 상황이야 보통 되나 아니 다치 저서 니래 있어요 나네 이 장초가 내가 가는 길에는 저서 건너가 된디 아니 제 돈은 상황 장주 심이야 진짜.
So there are these two main methods to develop bodhicitta, but that doesn't mean that we just practice these two methods and we don't use any other methods, any other tools to make this mind to create more causes for this mind to arise or to strengthen it. If we as we said before, that if we we can use our motivation in any single activity of the day, any word we speak, anything to help us to develop this mind.
Yeah, and that lamite. Ne, daji nyamjegu. The number so much go you see. Daji nyamber chevi kan tin chetan. Tamlam chikche. Nibadita jinjeman on dunsesh. Rumvechin.
Okay, so the two methods maybe you have heard already. One of them is exchanging oneself and others. Exchanging oneself and others. The second one is the seven causes and effect. Yeah, 6 causes and 1 effect.
이제 심지 공부대 지금 와서 남지 내도 직장발 싸움 당되는 영화 많이 봐. 이 유람도 심어서는 이나 럼바는 심어서 럼바 마보지 진행도 거야지 이 그런 게 하고
And this having different methods and different stages means that to accomplish this project that we have, we can look at it from different perspectives, use different tools in order to accomplish it.
그러나 근데 당어서 근데 삼는 코스다 이 말은 코스로 다 근데 삼는 심지에서 또 아니요 무슨 말 근데 삼는 거 근데 다 근데 이 당어서 코그레도 베다 그래서 영화면 계시다 이게
Yeah, one thought that can occur to our minds, it's very easy to occur to our minds is, okay, but it's not possible to have this mind. This is just, you can talk about this, but it's not really possible for someone to think like this.
다이는 단다디 탐람니 소야데 담미 소소가네 템컴다 소소가네 탐람 카디 소소리야 위치 담바이나 이기는 줘야 시레마도 담아 밥사데 치빠치 데고라 나데 미소소 카랄라 소소인지 데야나 이기는 줘야 치겠어.
And these two methods, exchanging oneself and others, and the 6 causes and 1 effect, or 7 causes and effects, they get to the same point. So we can, whatever we take as our main practice or not, it depends on our inclinations. What's easier for us to walk? What's easier for us to practice?
남지 기den로 소야로 잖아. 당신 염증관이 심지세데 대치 김이 원본 넘버스구나. 예, 대한지 시르그차. 시르그차 배추네 녀보요게. 네. 이거 아니 인디그 되게 지진이 줘야나. 아니 원본 넘버 심지다. 당신 염증관
the exchanging oneself and others is said to be more appropriate to those who have a sharp mind, to those who have a more developed wisdom, more developed intellect, intelligence.
다 가르쳐내세요. 다른 냠제세 냠버 제ton데 간디 제고. 그때 잡아쳐 버려서 남기 다른 냠제세 지금 당한 소야 동린세 들려. 또 우리 동린세 용거에 대한 노진 것도 있어서 동린가 냠린세 대해서 이런 거. 동린세 대당 다른 냠제 난디 신기고 다른 냠제. 이니 대 맞아시. 요거.
그래서 이런 냠바 그래서 다시 냠바 그렇게
나진 냠제세 쇼라. 나진 냠버 제세.
그렇게 반 놓고
제선 제선 semban nombo se gwa 제선 다 당신이 칼로래 당신 냠제세 냠버 제탕이다 통린 공동이 저거 말이었어 대만다리스 당신 냠제세 갑들이야 아니 cargo 그래서나 아니 텐데가 상나 요거 엠데 펜시큐토 그 상나 이치문.
And why is this? Because during the practice of equalizing oneself and others, so there is the first step here is going to be the equalizing, right? Equalizing. And here is also important for us to differentiate the practice of Tonglen, for those who have heard, and the practice of exchanging oneself and others. It's important to differentiate these two practices. And during the equalizing step, it becomes very important for us to contemplate the interdependence.
당신 냠제세 배는 당초 상노치 고대오修行하세 고대오지 강시나 뭐서 다단 현세 다단 현세데 지치라 뜨니 같이 시고요 마도 배는 나랑 나다 나랑 지는 나랑 다 나이 들어 저런 저런 다 나라 때문에 저런 신 저런 때문에 나 인디 텐데 강사보다 직다라바라바
to speak, in a very coarse, to speak in a superficial way, about this interdependence, to speak in a superficial way about this interdependence, when we talk about exchanging self and others. So how does self and others exist? So it exists depending on a basis. For example, let's say the basis, the point of reference is me, Pedro. So for me, I am self, you are other, you guys are others. For Geshe Phuntsok, he is self, I am other. So so it depends on the point of reference for the I, for the self to become self, for the other to become other. Yeah, in a superficial way about the interdependence here.
Yeah. Indeed, Gani Samlatami, and Nazi, Josie, and the Michi, down and Shensi, you got the down and Shensi, this Namiam, the Catrayo, Catrato, Yomar. Down and Shen, you got the separate Namiam. No chili,
So because of this interdependence, self and others, the way these two things are established, they cannot exist without the other. there's only other because there is self and vice versa. Yeah, he's saying that self and others, they can never separate, they can never break up. The meaning here, the meaning of self and the meaning of others is the same. Ngojik means like same nature. They're of the same nature. From this point of view, having this point of view of the dependence of the self and the others, then the way that we think about self should be the same way that we think about other. If you are important, if you feel that you're important, if you feel that you are precious, that I, is precious, then the other should also be precious, should also be important. In brief, our way of thinking, many of us in our daily lives, is the other people, they appear to be very distant, and the more distant they become from us, the more distant, not related to us, the more distant they become, the less we think about them. The less we think about them, the less we think about benefiting them or helping them or anything. We don't not caring so much about their happiness, etc. And so this cherishing others becomes weaker. And on the same time, if this happens, then giving importance to ourselves, the cherishing ourselves becomes stronger and stronger. And if we can bring to mind, to really bring to mind this dependent arising between self and others, this dependence of self on others, others on self, etc., this nature of dependence, then this naturally makes us have more, makes us cherish more others and cherish ourselves less. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he mostly talking about methods to develop bodhicitta. He mostly talks about exchanging self and others. Yeah. In this song, you come here. And then logic and you don't touch sungres. The song and the sungres. Penamuni is a payana. Chorangi tachi, me pentapayana, chorangi michi pentayana. Me conchula pentaya, the yagareta, meta, me the march, countertook till march penta. That's our chief, he said. Indeed, Spagan to achieve. Michel, because young Michel, Michel Robert Chivuna, Michel Robert Chena Yagre, when you to some cut the Mahil Robert Chena Yagre lad. And when he talks about this method, so using some logic and reasoning, he says, in your life, if you have the choice, to help one person, to feed a person, for example, or if you have the choice to feed 500 people or more people, to help more people, what is best? Yeah,
lamsa lamjin je chochora te mi mambo je pento ne yakare was
And it's very easy to answer. Of course that helping that if more people are happier, that's better. Of course if I help more people, that's better.
ta dinde na se ta soye chi khasu tonda de khare sumbi dinde na ta rani chigu che ta sabo ta rani chigu sa chi min ne ka chi.
And what is the meaning of this? If all our thoughts are to benefit, this person, one person, how come this is the best course of action?
And when we
talk about others, between self and others are countless. There are billions and billions. And because of this, that doesn't mean that we need to help billions of people or everyone, but more than you yourself, more than one, more than just yourself. If we're able to do this, to live our lives in this way, then it becomes a meaningful life. That seemed to be something important or precious.
Yeah. Nipa duya nipa yo so sama nipa chipa ka gang ma so chi ma se se ta han chu mi de shi da ani tan ju de so kang ni ma se tan de ma se de ran han yu pa pu je ya kan je ni ka so kang ni sam ta yi ma so nipa du si duya nipa yon jo de mi chi bi che de nipa de pe che tang de nipa chola mambo ji ti chola de.
And as we have studied in the beginning of the Lam-Rim, we studied about the precious human life, where we learn about our potential, about learning that we're not someone without potential to do anything. All of us, because of our constitution, because of our mind, because of our brain, etc., we have potential. We can work. And then if, now that we have so much potential to do something, if we focus all of this potential just on one person, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, take on any chili nibandujina pena come long generation. Come on, pay up show you a chasha. And then ball of chini chick come on it on dinner. In the door, that you bet on. No, didn't she? Mambo shows part two, and then was in Maras and Nipa Sama years ago. Nipa, you're the Nipa the Pecho caught me, Karchok. Nipa Pecho Tons, Karchok caught me, the thing also Napoli.
For example, it's just like, we have a big, powerful generator. Those big generators that can light up hospitals or generate a lot of electricity. If we turn this on, it starts working, and we put just one light bulb for it to work. It's a waste of potential. And in the similar way, we have potential. There is potential in our lives. But where do we direct this energy? Where do we direct this energy? Towards one light bulb when we could, light up hospitals or etc.
Yeah, not don't do that. Didn't only solve the that. And only cheap but our chimwins and their team to commandos. The chet gens our chimwins and cold Rani, Namji Shambas and what is the Sama Tangamara. In the Rani, Kola Sama Tang, the usual Shamba, which is Sama Tang going to Sama. Ajin Jason, Samloni, capture Jimmy.
Yeah, so using these reasonings or thinking in these ways, we get ourselves more and more familiar with the idea. Yeah, if I only think about myself, that's not appropriate. If I think about others, that makes sense. That's meaningful. So then we start the exchanging. The exchanging, equalizing and exchanging self and others.
Yeah. So the exchanging part. So the cheaper and somebody. Yoretang, Jenchiban somebody, Cheretang, Namjing Maran Yam Yams in time, Maran, Kunshi Yadis, the Rani Sachim, Chambate.
So the exchange part here is like usually our way of thinking, our way of living our lives is, the best for me. I am very precious, and not thinking so much about others. So here we're trying to exchange this. We're trying to hold the other person as with as much importance as we hold ourselves.
딘데가 삼로치 약보시 제토나 딘데 동lense 디 삼로데 망치 동lense.
And then if we are able to do this exchange, if we're able to practice ourselves in this exchange, then it comes the practice of the Tonglen. Then naturally the practice of the Tonglen can arise.
베나치 아마치는 그런 왜나 보면 지금 맞으면은 나타나시나니까 아마디 땡 그거 나타테 반 대바죠 이 나타 나라디 나잖아 선생 근데 그 나타 수수는 좀 그런 어떻게 시작하면 되게 나 맞좀 그 차트 나나는 선생 이 감나지 라진 레고 근데 레고 가지고 그런 게 대와
For example, when a child is in the hospital, is very sick, and there is a mother there, and this mother has only this child. So many times it's very common for the mother to have the thought, seeing the child suffering. It's very common for the mother to think, I wish I could take this suffering, and swallow it and put inside myself. I wish I could experience this suffering, so that the child shouldn't experience this suffering. And why is this? Because the mind, the mother has more love for the child than for herself. So that's why, after the exchange, if we're able to cultivate, really thinking that people are important, they're precious, and this love for other people, then it naturally gives the basis for this Tonglen to arise.
아니 동네 곰비 갑래요 배나 직 잠바가 배나가 되게 소소 나찬 중요나 따티 나따티 대신 신제 탐색 나따 탐색 좀 말 넘버쇼 그저 이 그쪽 뜻인 링아 상마데 내용이 그들 링아 테리 좀 많이 오셔 인디 삼로 진짜 냠네
Yeah, so I asked him just to explain briefly what is Tonglen, because maybe some people have never heard the word Tonglen. So Tonglen is the practice of, for example, when you have some suffering or some sickness, some pain. So you visualize that you are when you breathe in, right? Mm-hmm. When you breathe in, you visualize that you're taking all of the suffering, all of the negativities of people, and you are experiencing this their suffering, so that they don't need to experience this disease or this suffering ever. Like instead of them, you are experiencing the suffering. You visualize this, you imagine it.
Penadini 대상 당수 나마 폴리티는 무죠. 벤전으로. 근데 그마저 하래. 소카시. 그마저 무슨 민마트 그마저. 나. that's kumati sani muke very serious kumati zamundi michik koran kumati ante nai pasu maro patsa ni mes tani kumati ante yan deri kwana ama nibat sama koran ga kan kiyashi Tinta washi matsu ta kanga tsama de marang ge nyungi kwazo na kanga de mai washi se molum jaw onin chik
the way of thinking is just like let's say there is a group of thieves, 5 thieves, robbers, and the police gets one of them. The police catches one of them. So many times this robber, this criminal, he takes the whole everything. He doesn't say, "Oh, I have friends," etc. So he takes all of the, only he gets to spend time in jail. Yeah, so in a similar way, also like the way of thinking, and experiencing like the suffering is, only I will experience the suffering, and maybe they don't have this suffering. I'll take the blame, the blame, like in the example it would be blame, but yeah, I take all of the suffering upon myself instead of them. That's the way of thinking in this practice.
다 되네요. 양 찍네. 다 되네요. 만 삼삼 와서 강한도 다 찍네요. 다 강한데. 다 강한데. 강래지야. 그래서 소소 강한. 안도대로 있는 소소리. 소소 강한데 영화 쇼 뭐남자. 잠발 마야워서 뭐나제 걸. 소소를 강한데 당내지. 그래서 액템도 이제는 강한 빼 용어를 그는 남지 와서를 찍 강한로 진주. 와서 때 당내지 통다. 마테도 용. 또 용. yung yimbare marang ke dire lekka chetan dumne samate mut samata dumne marang ke ngol ne ya chikta chik tindi kanga chone ste mane chana te tane chetan kan pe nyama ai chana kanga yung to so youtube say lo tindi samata dumne pe
Another benefit of this practice is that it helps us to accept the suffering, accept the problem. And then as soon as we accept it, we're breathing in and we're accepting this suffering. As soon as we accept the problem, the suffering also gets weaker. Yeah. Yeah, many times in our lives, if we don't accept, yeah, if you don't, many times in our lives, if you don't accept our mistakes, our mistaken actions, then this is only a ground for them to grow bigger and bigger, these mistakes, etc. If you can accept and we can look at it, then it's best to solve it. So anyone has any question?
Maybe we can talk here.
It goes. Accept나 인용도 여기래. 아니 미션방이 여기 누르기래. 나는 저기는 여기 누르기래. 네가 저기는 여기 가르치네.
이 가르치는 게 들어가다. 이 샴방 등은 요는 것에 샴방 등은 요는 시오. 단서가니 로지아 치르로. 이제 그 상황이 따내지. 그래서 그전이야. 네. 렌트. 됐던 거. 이 같이 있어서 로지아 치르는 남지 그 진실서다. 안신 그
저기래.
좀 로지아 치르.
Yeah, so it doesn't decrease the suffering of other people. The problems of other people, they stay as they are. They're not gonna decrease. But when we accept the suffering, the presence of the suffering, this gives us more. I try to find the right word, but more like self-confidence or more courage. Also, you can say like if you accept that that's there, like
yeah,
your mind, like you get like a more open view of the problem, like you get a more. This is a very hard word for me to translate into it. You always say Geshe. It's a very simple word, but I never know exactly what word to use. Like it's fast or it's like expensive, yeah. But those words are weird. I get chapeau is like a word like, for example, like there's a field, and it's a big field, and you say you get chapeau. Like it's big, it's like big open. Your mind gets like this, when you accept and you're not under the problem. You can be with.
No. Ninka ya da kasi ti ninka mo bo shi su su kyap ta ba su su le ninka shi
No, nothing.
tanda kame se ga tabna ri kame yawai
Ne ngana tsu kana mishi bangi ngana ngana tsu lenna ngi tungi ngana chiru toki pareva.
sa chiren ba de stamu kartang ko su dinga nyore ga sa to pento pe ti lo pe stamu ba ti guje ya ko su pe mi ti mi pe te mo bo ji pe ti ki indi visualize chair you can some to start to know ya chair pe pento.
I asked him, if we take other people's suffering, isn't our suffering going to get bigger? Sometimes I have this I try to this practice, it comes to my mind, and I'm afraid also doing the practice sometimes. So I asked this, and he said, no, because when you're doing this practice, how are you thinking? How are you supposed to think? You're thinking that you are decreasing other people's suffering. You're thinking that you're helping other people. So that's your thought. Your thought is the beneficial thought. You're thinking about many people, so you have a more open mind because you're not thinking just about yourself. You're thinking about many other people, decreasing their sufferings. And when you keep your mind in this, on this beneficial object, on this good thing, then you accumulate merits. That's how we say, right? You accumulate merits, so you get more inner strength.
Yes, so
like your courage increases, your strength increases. So actually, yeah, it's the opposite.
Yeah, maybe. Na zo chi ne sa be ge wan de ten dong zhe wa ken le ku che bre chi sa sa en be ni bo ran sa che shong ne je ba de ten che ken le sa be de de da ken yi che sa no ge wan de ba ken chi.
Thank you. Thank you. Venga, the trincha,